Ta-da! Hello and welcome to Fursuiting in the time of quarantine. I am so thrilled to have the opportunity to contribute to Weekend Furry Retreats programming and help get this first year online con off to a great start. One of the great things about furry conventions going virtual is that the convention going experience has now become accessible to so many more people than before. From the comfort of our own homes and for a fraction of the cost, we can now attend and support furry conventions across the country, on the other side of the world, and even in cyberspace. Some light housekeeping before we get started. Once I start presenting, I will not be able to look at the chat. You are welcome to ask questions in chat as they come to you as we go through the presentation, and in fact, I encourage you to do so. Just keep in mind that I won't be able to respond while I'm talking. I am not ignoring you. There is merely a technical limitation. After the presentation is done, there will be a Q&A segment where I'll be more than happy to address all of your questions and comments and what have you. Feel free to engage with your fellow panel viewers and talk amongst yourselves in chat while the panel is going on. Oh, we've got some great folks here in the chat already. Hello everyone. I'm so excited to get started here. Barring any technical difficulties, there will be a recording of this panel available here on my YouTube channel following this broadcast. Just in case, the link should be up on the top of your screen over to the right there. So if you happen to miss a segment, if you want to go back and listen to something again or show the presentation to a friend who wasn't able to be here live for Furry Weekend, you can rewatch it at your leisure. All right, looks like it is just about time for us to get started. Here we are, fursuiting in the time of quarantine. So, let's start off with a brief introduction. Hi, my name is Shetani, my pronouns are she, her, and my fursona is a king cheetah. I have been an active part of the furry community since 2012, though I had been following along for many years prior. I've been a fursuiter for 8 years and counting, and I initially got my start in the cosplay community. In fact, my passion for cosplaying and costuming in general heavily influenced my decision to get a fursuit, as I knew it was something that I would have fun doing and be able to physically withstand from my background in cosplay. Weekend Furry Retreat is a furry-oriented convention, thus I will mainly be addressing fursuits throughout the presentation. However, much of the tips and advice can very easily be applied to cosplaying, LARPing, and other such pursuits. Let's take a look at the situation at hand. The furry community is a vast and diverse space, and there are so many different ways that we furries connect with the community as well as each other. Just as how you don't need to be a cosplayer to be part of any other fandom, owning a fursuit is not at all a requirement to take part in furry. However, there is a small yet vocal minority of us who enjoy fursuiting. For those of us who do have fursuits, of course, it's a really fun pastime and a creative way for us to express ourselves. We've invested a lot of time and effort into this. Either you paid someone a great deal to make a fursuit for you just to your specifications, or you yourself have invested all of that time, effort, learning, materials, and everything into crafting what are essentially these works of art. Our fursonas are characters that are very near and dear to us. Fursuiting is our subset of cosplay, but it's also something more. Cosplays tend to be of existing characters from some sort of pop culture franchise. Fans and people who are familiar with these media all recognize these public characters. When furries fursuit, we're not just dressing up as a character from a movie or a video game that somebody else has created. A fursona is a unique self-representation of its creator. We've made these characters ourselves and grown very attached to them, and having the opportunity to embody them in the flesh, so to speak, is personally significant. Fursuiting is not just a performance. In our community, it's a social activity. We've come to rely on fursuits as an aid for socializing, networking, and having fun. Many furries have some level of social anxiety, and no matter which side of the costume you're on, fursuiting helps break the ice and embolden folks to be more confident, able to speak to people they wouldn't normally have the courage to talk to, try new things, and even go places that they would never go before. I'm sure all of you cosplayers can relate to this too. Naturally, conventions and meetups are where we see the bulk of this social gathering taking place. Though there are some physical events popping up here and there, the pandemic is still ongoing. Furcons, even those that enforce vaccination and masking in their rules as they should, frequently become super spreader events despite everyone's best intentions. One need only search the name of a recently held in-person con plus COVID on social media to count just how many people are testing positive after the weekend. This puts a lot of folks in a position where they still don't feel safe going to cons. The same goes for fur meets and the like, and with many places still enforcing social distancing measures, people can't even go outside to public suit. This begs the question, what do I do with my fursuit when I can't go to events or out with my friends? Now, even when we don't have COVID or monkeypox to be concerned over, a lot of us point blank can't attend conventions for a multitude of reasons. Finances, traveling, accessibility, physical limitations, getting time off work, family obligations. These are factors that affect me and I see among my peers as well. Some folks just don't like conventions. And lest we forget, many furries live in an area where there simply aren't any furry events happening. They couldn't go to one even if they wanted to. I do love attending cons and have the privilege to be able to go to them when I can, but I don't attend nearly as many as some of the more prolific fursuiters and fandom personalities that you might happen to see online. Before the pandemic, I was lucky if I could afford to get myself to one con a year. For this reason, I've gotten pretty good at finding ways to utilize my fursuit without having to rely on an external event. Shortly after the pandemic began, I noticed a lot of my fursuiter friends and peers on social media were lamenting that they didn't know what to do with their fursuits without conventions. They were completely at a loss, and they even talked about how they felt so sad and disappointed looking over at their fursuit sitting there in a box just begging to be worn again. And this threw me for a loop. I thought to myself, well, what's stopping you from wearing your fursuit right now? But many folks really need that extra push. I realized that there was a niche that I could help fill and decided, why not share those techniques and ideas with my fellow fursuiters to help make their quarantine experience a little more bearable. So, without further ado, let's get into it. At-home photo shoots. One of the simplest and most accessible things you can do with your fursuit at home is photo shoots. Now, a lot of people are daunted by this at first. When they hear the term photography, you think of expensive cameras and lenses and lighting setups and the whole 9 yards. That couldn't be further from the truth. While having dedicated photography equipment would be, of course, helpful, for a hobbyist or somebody just looking to have fun, it is by no means required. There are many, many more qualified folks out there who give panels at furry cons about photography using actual camera equipment, so for that I point you in their direction. I'll be discussing entry-level tips for casual photo taking. These days, almost everyone has a smartphone right there in your pocket. With the ubiquitousness of phones, they're almost required for daily life, and so the standard smartphone can do a lot more than folks give it credit for. Unless your phone is super duper old, it's likely that it has a pretty high quality camera, definitely serviceable for taking fursuit photos. Now, every fursuit is built differently and has a different set of limitations, but some things are more difficult to do in fursuit if you don't have a handler. A handler is a second person, not in fursuit, who helps the fursuiter out with doing certain tasks. Depending on your situation, whether you live alone, whether there are other people in the household with you that know about your fursuiting hobby, let alone are willing to help you out with it, you may find yourself having to manage solo. Worry not. There are tons of tools that you can use to assist with doing photo shoots entirely on your own. I personally am fortunate enough to live with my partner, who is also a furry, but there are times when she's busy or at work and she can't help out. Or sometimes I have a really specific vision in my head for how I want a shoot to go, and it's not something that another person can visualize. Or, sometimes I just don't want to bother her for whatever reason. Over the years, I've picked up a bunch of tips and tricks for managing fursuit photography entirely on one's own. The top tool, which for me is a lifesaver, is voice activation. If you go into the settings on your phone's camera, there will likely be a toggle for this. On my Android phone, it's called voice control. It might have a different name if you have a Google phone or an Apple phone or something like that. Basically, you say a command like smile or capture, and the phone will take a picture. I like to say cheese because it makes my eyes crinkle up when I smile. Voice control is super helpful for hands-free photography. If your fursuit has big, unwieldy paws that are hard to get on and off quickly, or if you have fursuit paws with attached arm sleeves and you can't remove your paw without starting to disrobe, you will find this extremely helpful. Honestly, I think voice activation is severely underutilized for cell phone photography in general. A lot of people I've met don't even know that their phone can do this. You can even use it to record video, not just pictures, though we will get to that later on. For getting a full body shot or something staged like a wider shot in front of a backdrop, you're going to want to place your phone on something instead of holding it. I recommend investing in a tripod for this. Again, it doesn't have to be anything professional or expensive if that's not financially accessible for you. You can do a lot with just those little three-legged phone tripods with the bendy legs. Selfie sticks are also a viable choice. Here we can see Erladies making great use of one. They were super popular a few years back, so you probably have one just lying around the house collecting dust. Why not go ahead and put that to good use? And of course, timers. You can set up the timer on your phone or use an external timer. There are plenty of handheld gadgets you can buy that will pair to your phone using Bluetooth. Press a button and it takes a picture for you. If you have a smaller hand paw on your fursuit with more dexterity, you can use one of these pretty easily, or you can even hide it inside your paw so that the remote isn't visible in the shot. And if all else fails, you can always go for the tried and true hand behind the back pose. If you want to make your pictures really pop, a little bit of editing can go a long way. Perhaps your camera isn't the best quality, or your picture came out a little bit blurry. Some very basic editing can help clear that up. You especially see this when taking pictures with the front-facing camera on your phone, as that is usually of a lower megapixel quality, and the photos you take may be a little more grainy or less clear. I always try to use the back camera on my phone whenever possible. Many phones allow you to edit your photos right from the camera app, and of course, various social media apps have a plethora of filters and tools that you can use. Even Telegram, which you probably use if you're a furry, has photo controls that let you adjust the saturation, the gamma, the contrast, etc. of the pictures that you're sending to make your shots look super duper snazzy. On the left here, we have a photo that, for all intents and purposes, looks like a failure. The fursuiter is in shadow, the colors look washed out, and of course, part of the camera person's thumb got in the shot. Those pesky fingers. However, it's not a lost cause. Just a few touch-ups are all that's needed to take this picture from trash to something worth showing off. Again, you don't really need to go out and buy a whole lot of stuff. This is all about fursuiting at home with what you already have. If you don't have a tripod for your camera, you can just stack up a bunch of books or boxes and lean your phone on top. There's no need to buy pro light setups when a well-angled desk lamp will do the trick. Lighting honestly does a lot for good-looking photos, and often your fursuit will look different in natural and artificial light. I know mine does. You can play around with this. If you don't have a secondary light source, wait until the height of the day and position yourself in front of an open window. See which you like best. Now, most of us don't live in a mansion or have a whole photo studio full of props and backdrops at our disposal. That's okay, this is all just for fun. You can try rearranging your furniture, use different camera orientations, and basically see what you can do with what's available to you. There are many online tutorials and life hack style videos that show you how to do cool and creative photo tricks with what you already have in your house. Personally, I really like the ones that show how you can shine light through different household objects to get different effects. Like if you shine a light through a colander, a metal colander, you can get like a cool disco ball effect, and it looks very, very expensive and professional. So, how about some ideas for all these photos you'll be taking, huh? Well, let's start off with something simple and easy. You've got hobbies other than fursuiting, right? I should very well hope so. Why not go ahead and show those off to the world? If your persona, like mine, is very similar to yourself, you can set up scenes that show what you like to do. Or if your fursuit is more of a separate character, you can think of activities that fit with their personality or the world that they live in. This is also great for cosplayers, as you're typically cosplaying a character from a series or something that people are familiar with. So you've got just an entire backlog of content, of media, that you can look at and see, what sort of scenes can I set up with my character? What would my cosplay character be doing? What are some fun photos that I can take of them doing that? Here you can see Wad, who is not only a fursuiter but a fursuit maker, making fursuits while in fursuit. How cool is that? And Bavels the bunny is outside doing some gardening on a lovely sunny day. Perfect environment for a bunny rabbit to be in, and something that really fits his character. I did touch on this a couple seconds ago, but again, cosplay is super popular and also a personal favorite of mine. Not just plain old cosplaying, but cosplaying with your fursuit. After all, fursuiting is just another form of costume. We're simply dressing as characters of our own creation rather than ones that someone else made up. And I love combining costumes with my fursuit to blur the lines and help bridge the gap in some people's minds. Here's a photo from a shoot that I did as Diva from Overwatch in her carbon fiber skin. As you can see, I set up a bunch of video game cases, some Mountain Dew and Doritos, as the character is known for being a gamer. So just simple props that you have lying around the house that really help flesh out this scene a little bit more. It's definitely more visually interesting than if I was just sitting in a chair in a blank room. As well, we have Fangorn, who is of course dressed as a Jedi Knight from Star Wars, and to go along with that has a working lightsaber and some space-related paraphernalia. Very cool and very fun. Bedroom posing is a tried and true furry favorite. Also a valid option for the itty-bitty living space folks. Even if you live in a dorm or apartment or somewhere without a lot of space, I'm fairly certain that you have at least a bed to call your own. Things like coordinating bed sheets or stuffed animals that match your persona's species can bring a little bit more character to your photos, and whether you choose to go for sleepy, cute, or even a little bit spicy, there's a whole gamut of moods that you can convey with these type of pictures. Working from home. Now here is an interesting fursuit scenario that actually came to be because of the pandemic. Thanks, COVID. If you're fortunate enough to be able to work from home, you can pop your fursuit on and snap some pictures showing what a typical workday is like for you. And even if this isn't the case, if you think it would be fun or it would fit your persona, you can totally set up a working from home set and do it anyway. And this, of course, goes for pretty much any scenario that you can think of. It might sound silly to lay it out like this, but folks really do forget that you can just play around and make up things for fun. I mean, look at me. I may not be a cheetah in real life, but I play one on the internet. Staging photos is totally an acceptable and viable option for any scenarios that your imagination can conjure. Playing with pets is a great one. Here we have Edward getting in some valuable pooch time, and Blue with his own beloved dog, whose appearance actually inspired the look of his own fursuit. Look at them, they're like twins, it's so cute. The juxtaposition of real and costume animal gets so many reactions from folks online. Whether it be dogs, cats, ferrets, rats, birds, reptiles, or even fish, if you share your life with pets, they can often make really fun and unique co-stars for your fursuit photo shoots. Do keep in mind that animals can often react unpredictably to people in costume. So if you've never tried this before, take time to ensure that your pet is accustomed to your fursuit and interacting with you while you're wearing it. You do not want a traumatized or injured pet or a damaged fursuit. Cooking is another fun photo shoot idea that ties into the hobbies that I mentioned earlier. I'm doing a staged photo shoot here, but there are some fursuiters who can and actually do make food in fursuit. Buttercup is an absolutely darling fursuiter who runs a channel here on YouTube called Bake Me Up Buttercup. She bakes lots of yummy treats in fursuit and shares the recipes with her viewers. I recommend checking her out if you're interested, and I will be touching on this topic a little bit later on. Slice of life. Fursuit pictures don't always need to be elaborate fantasy scenes. You can just show people scenes from everyday life. This is something that doesn't require a lot of outside effort or preparation, which makes it quite accessible to every fursuiter. Here we have Captain Julius, who is a cuttlefish, sitting down to have a picnic and eating some sushi, which is an absolutely hilarious and creative idea that plays off the species of the character. Meanwhile, Ashram is in fursuit doing laundry, and what makes it even more unusual is that he's hanging up yet another fursuit. Again, there's so much potential for creativity here, and just the fact that a big animal person is doing it can make even the most mundane task memorable and engaging for your audience. And finally, the tried and true selfie. No frills, no bells or whistles, just take a nice photo of yourself. Portraits like these are great for showing off different facial expressions or moods of your fursuit, as well as a really nice outfit or accessories for us partial fursuiters. Utilize what you have in your environment for these. Say you're taking pictures in front of a blank wall and you want less negative space behind you. You can use a poster or a cool art piece you have in your house that you can frame yourself in front of to make a more interesting shot. And one thing I do want to highlight before we move on, in the beginning of the pandemic, the situation provided unique opportunities for fursuiting that we normally wouldn't be able to access. Many fursuiters have reservations about suiting in public when not at a convention or other socially accepted setting. This pandemic has forced a lot of people indoors, which means that outdoor spaces are still not as populated as they used to be. So for those of us who may be more shy or hesitant about suiting outside, this can be your chance to try some new things. There you can see me crossing a painted crosswalk back in June 2020 when the intersection was shut down, which normally would have been impossible because of all the cars. Other fursuiter friends have shown pictures of themselves hiking and climbing mountains with their fursuits for some really breathtaking photos, or going out to abandoned shops and buildings that have closed down. These days, at least in my neck of the woods, you don't see very much of that, but regardless, as long as you can do it safely and make sure that you're social distancing, this can be your opportunity to do some really cool stuff. Now, please note that if you do choose to go outside for fursuiting and you wish to be safe and protect yourself and others from getting sick, you must also wear a protective face mask under your fursuit. The fursuit head itself is not a substitute for a mask. Fursuit heads are built to have the best possible ventilation and airflow, which is the exact opposite of what a medical mask is designed to do. Fursuit head does not filter anything and will not prevent the spread of viral particles. It's worth noting that many furcons which are holding events in person require attendees to wear masks at all times while in con space, which extends to fursuiters as well. Thankfully, this has kind of stopped happening, but I did see some jokes being made about furries being protected from COVID due to the suit heads. Not true, of course, and it's not a good idea to even joke about this because even in the context of humor, it spreads the idea, which can lead to uninformed people making some very unwise decisions. So, in addition to taking pictures, you can also make videos in your fursuit. A lot of the techniques and suggestions that I mentioned for photography can be applied to videography as well, so I'm not really going to go over those again. Much can be done with your own phone without the need for a camcorder or a designated video camera. I mentioned voice activation earlier, which can be used not only to take pictures, but video as well. And of course, all the tips about tripods and using tools to stabilize the camera for photography certainly go hand in hand for video recording. Editing your videos in post, you do not need paid or professional level software to do this. Videos can be edited with many social media apps if you're recording a video to post on social media. Your phone itself will have a video editor that supports basic editing functions like cropping the screen, changing the lighting, cutting down the length. Maybe you need to cut out the beginning or the end where you took off your fursuit paw to stop the recording. You can just do that right in the video app itself. If you have a laptop, it most likely has a webcam built right in. You can use that and utilize some of the editing tips mentioned to clean up your video a little bit. If you don't have one or yours is just not up to your quality standards, you can buy your own webcam. I don't really see many people having issue with that anymore. There was a kind of a webcam shortage in the beginning of the pandemic, but I think that's pretty much leveled out now. Actually, this video is being recorded on a webcam that I bought online. As you can see, the image quality is pretty darn good, and it was not very expensive at all. If you don't have a webcam, you can download free software to use your own phone as a webcam. This is good to keep in mind if you want to be doing live streaming or group chats, which I will talk more about later. And of course, if you don't want to record on your machine itself, you can record videos on your phone and plug that into your computer to transfer the files over for later editing. If your videos involve you talking, you'll probably want to use an external microphone to record sound. A fursuit head, being something really big that's right in front of your face and your mouth, will often muffle the voice and can make it hard for your audience to understand you. When you're doing videos or streaming, audio quality really is paramount. I have seen some people use lapel mics or little small ones that they can put inside of the fursuit head while they're talking, and that helps. Or like I am doing there, you can get an external mic, whatever's within your price range, and have that on a stand fairly close to your face to record audio while you're in fursuit. Then you can sync the audio track up to the video. You may use free programs such as Audacity to adjust your sound and clear up any background noise or muffling that may occur due to the fursuit head. Another option, which depends on what type of video you're doing, is to record your audio separately, either beforehand or in post, and then edit that into the video itself. If you're doing a how-to video or something with a narration or a voiceover, maybe even ASMR depending, this will be what you would like to do. Now again, don't focus too much on this. Your videos don't need to look or sound professional unless you're a professional streamer or you have a Patreon where people are literally paying you to make fursuit content. It's just something to have fun and keep active in your fursuit from home. So you do not need to worry about being the best of the best. The most important part is that you yourself are having fun. So what are some ideas for fursuit videos you can make? Short videos are very accessible and easy for folks to get right into. You can do cute little skits. Maybe your fursuit character is having a bad day. Maybe they try something new and it either goes well or poorly for them. Fun stuff like that. Memes are obviously super popular. Every day there's some new meme going around online. And if looking for quick and fun things to do in your suit and keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on in the community, this will be the way to go. Dance videos. Fursuit dancing is extremely popular and a big subculture within our furry community. I myself choose not to dance in fursuit. I got 2 left feet, but I have the utmost respect and admiration for those who do have the talent to dance in fursuit and want to share their skill and their personal expression with the world. I highly recommend doing this if you can. Fursuit dance videos always look like a ton of fun to me. You can even do updates in your fursuit, talking about what's going on with your life, anything new or exciting that's going on. Where to post these videos depends on where you're most active and what you want to do with them. Twitter is a big site for furries right now. A ton of furries are there, and I predominantly use it myself. Instagram is another great social media platform for short-form videos. TikTok is super popular with furries, though I myself don't use it, so I don't have a lot of familiarity with its features. I do know that the replies and the trends on TikTok are really fun, and they help people build that sense of community and network with other fursuiters on Twitter, as well as their audio library of songs and dialogue clips and things like that you can use and give you a bit of inspiration for your videos. If you have more to say and do than can be crammed into just a few seconds, or you want your videos to stick around for a little longer than social media usually offers, longer format videos will expand your content creation possibilities. I myself run a channel here on YouTube where I do a series called Cheetah Chat with Shetani. I talk about different topics of interest pertaining to the furry community that I don't see other people discussing. Discussion videos, talking head style videos are quite popular. Almost everyone has knowledge or opinions that they can share with the community. How-tos are another thing you can do. I mentioned Bake Me Up Buttercup earlier. She does a baking and recipe series in Fursuit. Any other talents like playing a musical instrument or crafting, building, pretty much anything that you can do in Fursuit, you can show others how to do too. Reaction videos, doing vlogs. If you yourself aren't a very creative type, this is always an option for you. And your videos don't even need to be in those formats. You can do short films in your fursuit. There are online furry film festivals that you can submit your films to, get them in front of a wider audience, and have the chance to win prizes and accolades for your work. Platforms for doing this include YouTube. Of course, you're on YouTube right now, so you should know how popular it is. There are some downsides to using YouTube, namely that it has a very wide audience, so you can't really control the type of people that'll see your videos. Vimeo, if you would like an alternative to YouTube, is pretty good. These don't even have a length limit for uploads, and they're a bit better about content matching. So if you're using copyrighted music in a dance video, for instance, you may want to check that out. And again, piggybacking off of that, streaming is another thing that you can do in Fursuit while you are at home. Gaming is, of course, one of the most popular streaming activities. Folks love to stream themselves playing all sorts of video games, card games, even tabletop games. It is a great way to make new friends, and tons of money have been raised for charities and good causes through donation streams hosted by furries in our community. This is another pastime that I partake as well. I do video game streams about once a month in Fursuit here on my YouTube channel, and I must say it really helps build that sense of community and friendship. You don't need a Fursuit to live stream, of course, but the novelty is definitely engaging for your audience. Art can also be streamed online. If you have been checking out any of the other panels here at Weekend Furry Retreat, you'll have seen a ton of people doing art streams. We furries love to commission art of our characters, as well as watch the artists at work, bringing their masterpieces to life. And if you can do that in Fursuit, more power to you. Interviews and podcasts are on the up and up these days. These are quite easy to set up remotely, and I've seen a lot of furries and fursuiters interviewing other furries for podcasts and web series. I've taken part in a few myself. Just chatting is a popular category on Twitch for you Twitch streamers. Q&As, AMAs, TMI Tuesdays, anything where you interact with your online friends and followers and have them ask you questions to drive the conversation. Those are very popular as well. Most of the platforms that I mentioned earlier support live streaming in some capacity. And of course, there are some that are specifically set up for hosting streams, like Discord and Twitch for gaming, and Picarto, which is geared towards artists. Making GIFs is something else that you can do with all of these cool videos that you're taking. Here are some very cute examples of things that you can do. Aries is playing and cuddling with their pet kitty cat, while Mark is giving us a very cute lion wave. If you use Telegram or social media, you'll know how popular GIFs are for use as reaction images. And instead of searching through for the perfect one to capture the mood that you're feeling, you can just make your own using your fursuit. No need to pay somebody $1 billion to make you a custom Telegram sticker. And you can even use animated stickers on Telegram and even Discord now, which is pretty cool. Public video projects are so much fun to participate in Fursuit as well as host. If you're unfamiliar with the concept, it's basically a creative project where many people come together to bring an idea to life. Someone comes up for a concept with a video that they'd like to make. They ask their friends or put out a call on social media for like-minded individuals willing to participate. Everyone gets their part or their instructions on what they need to do, film it, and the host puts all the submissions together into one collaborative project. Usually you'll see this taking the form of a music video, as the concept lends itself well to the format, but there are unlimited things that you can do. If you are a fursuiter looking for such videos to participate in, keep an eye out for submission calls on sites like Twitter, Telegram chats, Discord servers, popular places for furries. If you can't find any to participate in, and you have an idea that you don't see other people doing, which you want to bring to life, you yourself can host your own. All you need to do is just get people to spread the word about your project, and I guarantee you other fursuiters will come and want to contribute. So let's just quickly look at some examples of public fursuiter video projects, which I've contributed to myself. Quarantine is a project where Ringer, who is a musician, composed a song about what it's like being in quarantine, and for the visual took a bunch of clips of fursuiters just showing what they're doing and put it all together. If you would like to check out the video yourself, there's a link to Ringer's YouTube page on screen, and it is actually linked in the description of this video as well if you're watching on a platform where you can just go ahead and check that out. Mask Up is another video project. This one, fursuiters were asked to take a short clip of themselves putting on a face mask or utilizing a face covering in some way. Topical concepts like these are quite popular, and again, with people submitting and contributing, you've got something more engaging than what you could do just sitting at home by yourself. Around the world, Raskel did a really cool series showcasing different fursuiters from around the world. This was a monumental undertaking that spanned something like 20 weeks and 2 separate volumes. The videos were hosted on TikTok, but you did not need to have a TikTok account to participate. I've even counted all of the countries and continents that ended up being represented. It's such an amazing showcase of all the diversity that we have here in our furry community. And again, this is a prime example of the type of fursuiting you can do and support without having to go out and travel. Raskel is a really prolific public video host. They do projects like these multiple times a year, usually for Pride Month and a Halloween one for the spooky season. Signups for this year's Halloween video will actually be opening in September, which is not too far away. So if you feel like you want to start getting involved with group video projects, definitely follow Raskel on social media. There will be lots of opportunities for you to join in and have fun. If you wish to do something a bit more technically advanced, a great example is Infernity, the Taiwanese furry convention, and their chain reaction video. For this, they asked participants to take a card, hold it up to the camera not in fursuit, and then remove the card to show themselves in their fursuit. The person then passed the card off screen to the next participant, and all the videos got synced up. These type of transition videos or videos with a common visual linking all the pieces are very popular on TikTok and other apps right now. Like I said, this is kind of like advanced mode for group video projects. It's more technically complicated in that you are involving props, and the creator has to coordinate the direction where everyone is passing off their prop. But in the end, the final project is really something very impressive. Group video calls are also a very engaging option. There's no reason to not do this in Fursuit if you have other people that you're fursuiting with and you're comfortable doing that on camera. Many different platforms you can use if you want to start hosting group video chats on your own. I'm sure that we are all pretty darn familiar with everything that we've got on the screen here right now. Group video Fursuit calls can be either scheduled or impromptu. The screenshot here is from a group call that I'm in on Telegram. I'm in a chat with cheetah furries, and we would get together every now and again, hang out, wear our fursuits if we have them, play some games together, and it's just a really great time. I'm also, on the other hand, in Discord servers that don't have too many structured activities, but people will often be getting suited up for one reason or another and spontaneously hop into a video call in their costumes. There are many different groups that facilitate networking in this regard. If you, the viewer, are looking for Fursuit group video chats that you can start taking part in right now, here are some furry video call communities on Discord. Admittedly, this avenue of online fursuit socialization has slowed since the last time I presented this panel, and I found it difficult to locate public fursuit group chats that are active. Local furry groups, if you can get connected with them, very frequently have Discord servers where they do regular fursuit calls and gaming and the like, though I obviously cannot list them here. If you know of any active online fursuit groups, by all means, please get in contact with me after this panel and I will add them to my presentation. Let's not forget about online conventions. As you can see, I'm attending an online convention right now. I'm wearing a fursuit and I'm having a great time. Many other virtual furry cons are hosted in a live format with events that you can participate in using your webcam. These can include online fursuit parades and fursuit meet and greets, like this one from Furpocalypse Online that I took part in. Dance competitions too. There's a screenshot from the Anthrocon online dance competition. They took pre-recorded submissions beforehand and judged them live on stream. Though some VR chat cons have done actual live dance comps with the help of body tracking technology, if you enter a fursuit dance comp, you'll likely be asked to record your submission ahead of time. Costume contests are also a thing. Here we see Temperance doing a cosplay of a Khajiit from Elder Scrolls, and no, that is not a render, that is an actual honest-to-goodness fursuit, and they actually entered it into the Cosplay Central costume competition. Many video games, shows, and other media franchises have anthropomorphic animals or races, so depending on the species or look of your fursuit, you can adapt that into a cosplay character. A lot of naturally colored felines can do double duty as a Khajiit. I have many friends who dress up their fursuits as characters from Beastars or Zootopia. The sky is really the limit. If you need some inspiration as a fursuiter, all you need to do is hang around some non-furries at an event and see what you get misidentified as the most. Yes, don't forget to look for comic conventions, anime conventions, or other nerd fandom events that may be hosting online versions. CozyCon is an example of a multi-fandom online convention that I and others have fursuited at. Their next iteration is coming up in November. So yeah, you don't need to limit yourself to only furry cons. So you've recorded a whole bunch of stuff in your fursuit. Where do you share it? Why, where the furries are, of course. And in this day and age, that means practically anywhere. There are a few sites that you can see on the screen right now that are more frequented by furries and have a very large furry user base. But again, pretty much any platform that you're using and comfortable with, you can post on. So it can be hard to motivate yourself to keep fursuiting when you see other people going to cons and having fun at events that you can't or choose not to take part in. We do as much as we can, but in the end, you're still isolated, not actually going out with your friends. It can be mentally taxing to go through the effort of suiting up just to do a couple little fun things for social media. Try to stay motivated and active by sticking to a schedule. Set personal goals, such as I'm going to post every Friday or I'm going to post once a month at least. You don't have to be too ambitious, nor should you hold yourself up to other online posters as a rubric. Do what you're capable of while ensuring it's still fun for yourself. You can follow hashtag trends like hashtag Fursuit Friday, where people post pictures of their fursuits on a weekly basis, and even tags tailored to people with suits from a specific maker, like hashtag Magpie Bones Monday in my case. You can go ahead and capitalize on that. Use it as an excuse to make yourself get into fursuit if that helps. Say to yourself, oh, Friday's coming up. I promised myself I'd have a new picture to post. So that motivates you to get into fursuit and make that content. Don't forget this is about being social. So in addition to just putting your own fursuit out there, interact with other fursuiters too. If a suitor you follow online posts a picture of them gaming, for instance, snap a picture of yourself in suit with your own controller and gaming headset on and comment, let's party up, or a big armful of junk food and be like, sounds like fun, I'm bringing the snacks. Start up a nice back and forth, build up a rapport, and that's how you form friendships and get connected with others in the furry community without meeting face to face. Look for virtual groups that meet on a regular basis. I covered this earlier. Remember that if you see a niche that needs filling, you can totally step up. Can't find a fursuit group? Why not start your own? But it's important to know your own limits and only do what you feel comfortable with. Fursuiting is meant to be a hobby that relieves stress. If you're just not feeling it one day, it's okay to skip, a day of a chat group or something. Take care of yourself first and foremost. Take care of your physical and mental health. If you are not in the right mindset to fursuit, if it starts feeling more like a chore than a fun activity, that's when you know that you need to step it back and recollect yourself, get your health back, and regain the right mindset before you go out and start suiting. Why even bother fursuiting if you're not attending in-person events? There are a ton of great reasons. First of all, maintenance of your fursuit. When you're putting the costume on and wearing it, you're gonna have to maintain it afterwards. Fursuits can't be kept in a box or on a hanger for very long. They need regular upkeep. When there's a long span of time in between conventions or events, we sometimes don't do that as much as we should. By going through the motions of fursuiting, you'll become aware of any rips or popped seams that need mending. You'll have to brush out knots from the fur, clean it and disinfect it as you normally do to keep it in peak condition. Suiting keeps you and your character in the public eye. If you don't post a lot on social media, your friends are going to start wondering what happened to you. Fursuit pictures and regular updates let people know that you're okay, you're not sick, and you're doing all right. There are those who make a primary or secondary income from the furry community through art commissions, merchandise sales, and things of that nature. If you have a fursuit, that can often serve as a mascot for your at-home business. Personally, I love seeing, for example, an artist announcing a new t-shirt or a hoodie, and they're using their fursuit to model it. That's so cool. Even during this pandemic situation where we're all stuck inside and can't go out to see friends, there's only so much that you can do. Human beings need social interaction, and for many, it's hard to reach out to friends when you can feel your social skills backsliding over the trauma of the past few years. Fursuiting can be an avenue for that socialization. Even though we can't do it in person, we can still communicate with each other online and, at least in part, fulfill that social interaction need. And finally, just wearing your fursuit makes you happy. It's something that you enjoy, it's going to make you feel better, improve your mood, and promote positivity. Remember that the most important person for you to be suiting for is yourself. All right, so now we are getting to my favorite part of the panel, which is the Q&A segment. So if you have any questions or comments, anything that you wanted to ask about the topics that I've covered so far, you can go ahead and leave those in the chat right now. Please keep in mind that there is a delay, so I'm going to take a couple seconds to look back up through the chat, and see what folks have been asking. I'm also going to take a little drink of water because I am super duper thirsty. So in the meantime, if you have any questions, comments, observations, suggestions, if you need me to go over something again, please go right ahead and type that into the chat. Okay. Sorry for the sound. I'm just going to fix my hair a little bit. All right, so we've got a question from Hamish the Doc Chugger. It looks like this one is about me, actually, asking what are your favorite songs. So I love rock music. My favorite band of all time is My Chemical Romance. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a diehard MCR fan. I actually have tickets to see them live very soon for the first time in 10 years. I'm super duper excited for that. So I love the music of My Chemical Romance. They are a great band. I would say that my favorite song by them is Thank You for the Venom. But really anything off of the Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge album and The Black Parade, those are two really good albums that I recommend checking out. Nico asks, have you ever done a photo shoot that took place outdoors? Oh yes, I have done quite a few outdoor photo shoots. Some pictures of those I included in the panel there. Let's see. I've done some Pride Month photo shoots out in a field where I got to lay on a flag. Those were pretty fun. I've gotten some great nature ones. I've worked with some really, really cool photographers out in a local park, and outdoor photo shoots when I go to conventions, or when I did go to physical conventions, were super fun because I would get to, like, be on location at the con and take advantage of the cool scenery or architecture in the area. I would love taking pictures in Boston when I visited Anthro, New England. I have a great shot out in the Boston Commons from 2019, I believe it was, when it was really snowy out and the lake was all frozen over. And that made some really fun photo shoot opportunities because you could see my breath like fogging up my glasses from the cold, and it made it look even more realistic. And just this past February, I got to do a photo shoot and take advantage of some of the iconic buildings around the Boston Park Plaza Hotel where the convention was being held. And I'm actually really glad that I did that because they are moving to a new location, so I probably wouldn't have the opportunity to do that again. So that was pretty cool. Nico asks again, have you cosplayed while in Fursuit? If so, what were some of your favorite cosplays? Yeah, I did a whole segment earlier in the panel about how much I love to cosplay while in Fursuit. A lot of people have some sort of delineation in their mind between cosplayers and fursuiters. They're like, oh, I love cosplayers. Cosplayers are so cool, but furries are ew. And it's like, it's the same thing. I don't know why people can't recognize that. So a lot of what I do is combining my fursuit with cosplay because, first of all, I just have way more fun cosplaying in fursuit than I did even when I was just straight up cosplaying characters. It's like I'm putting my own extra spin on it, and that was super cool. Another thing that I love to do is I try to dress up as a different character every Halloween. So yeah, I do have some more ideas in store. You will just have to wait and see what I come up with this October. But as for my favorite cosplay that I've done in Fursuit, I would say probably Chell from Portal, who I did for Halloween last year. That was one that I really wanted to bring to fruition for a long time, and I finally made it possible. I had the jumpsuit, I made the long fall boots, I had a little mini portal gun, and even a plush Wheatley. And I took some photos, again, at home, all by myself, my little lonesome, and they came out really great, and they did really well online. Pilot Light Kitty asks, how do you get motivated to make content when dealing with personal perfectionism? Ooh, yeah, that's a big one. I struggle with that on a regular basis, let me tell you. It's so easy to get caught up in comparing yourself to what everyone else is doing and the great stuff that is out there. I think that the most important thing to keep in mind is you just need to do things that you want to try and that feel good for you. I know that I will never be able to do such a big spectacular photo shoot as some other people have done online, or that my videos will never be like movie level quality, But it's not about being the best of the best. It's about making something that you yourself can feel proud of. A couple years ago, I did a photo shoot that I thought was pretty ambitious. I had never really done something like that before. It was actually an above the ground angle of me laying down, and I had some props around me, and I was in like an outfit that I picked out and things like that. I felt like I was taking a big risk posting it online, but I worked really hard at it, and I wanted to share that with other people. And I just kind of put it out there, and it did whatever. And then a couple years later, I was doing a photo shoot with an actual, photographer at a convention, and they mentioned seeing that picture that I did myself, and they were like, oh, I loved that so much, and it's made me really excited to work with you. And I was like, oh, wow, that's a big honor, and I'm surprised that you saw my stupid little thing that I did and liked that. So oftentimes we can really be our own worst critics because you're the only person who knows how you wanted that thing to work out. And, other people online, they just see it and they just think it's amazing. So try not to focus too much on, being perfect because that's unattainable. It's absolutely impossible. None of us are perfect. Even the people that you're comparing your work to, they also are struggling and they're also being super critical of their own work. But you yourself can't see that. You admire them so much. So just remember that, you can't hold yourself up to those unattainable standards either. Just have fun, do things that you want to try. If something doesn't work out, I've had that happen to me tons of times, of course, but it's not a wash. You're still learning. You learned what worked and what didn't. You had more experience. So just kind of keep at it and keep doing what you want to do and how you want to be creative. Platinum asks, what are some interesting props or editing you've seen in pictures or videos? Ooh, that's a good question. I really like the, what's the word for it? The light wands, where they take a really slow shutter speed picture and they've got the glowing lights that you can kind of paint around the person. Those are so cool. I actually managed to get a photo shoot with one person. Seiko Liz was their name. I did that at Anthrocon a couple years back, and that was really cool. I love the folks who it's less about props to me than locations. I'm super admire the people who take their fursuits to really unique or interesting places. Like climbing a mountain in their fursuit or taking a picture on the beach with their fursuit. That sort of stuff really inspires me. And I've got a whole list of things that I would love to try with my suit on my own as soon as we can get this darn pandemic under control. Rainbow says, thank you for the encouragement. Yeah, of course, absolutely. I think I've got time for one or two more questions here. I do know that there is a break scheduled after my panel, so I don't feel super bad about going over our 1 hour. So if anyone's got like one more question, now would be the time to ask. And it looks like this will be the last question from Nico a little bit earlier. What do you find the most unique about your fursuit? Well, the most unique thing about my fursuit, of course, is that it represents me. Everybody's character is unique. Everybody's persona is unique. This is something that I absolutely love about our furry community. Because even in other communities or fandoms where people make fan characters or OCs, that's pretty great. But the furry community in specific just has so much individuality and creativity. We're all supportive of each other, and we all just kind of build each other up and encourage each other to make things that, really represent us and that are unique and novel. So when it came time for me to get a fursuit, there were certain things that I needed in order to be able to suit safely, comfortably, and happily. And as well, there were some features that I needed in order for my persona to be accurately represented. So I did a lot of research, and I eventually ended up choosing a maker, a super duper niche maker who was able to work with my vision and bring my persona to life in a way that I would be able to safely and comfortably wear the costume. So that's pretty cool. I fully encourage anybody out there who wants to try fursuiting or costuming. You can absolutely do that if you set your mind to it. You just sometimes got to think outside the box and be creative. This is an attainable hobby for anybody who wishes to try it out. Just go ahead, don't listen so much to what other people have to say, because it's ultimately going to be a fursuit for you and nobody else. So just do what you feel comfortable with, and don't be afraid to try new things. So it looks like we are going to start wrapping up here. Thank you all so much for attending my panel. I hope you learned a little something new today. If you want to follow me elsewhere online, my Twitter is @ShetaniCheetah. I am also on Instagram under the same name, and my YouTube channel, which you are on right now, is youtube.com/Shetani. Feel free to subscribe if you'd like. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback on the information I presented here today, please do not hesitate to contact me and let me know what you think. If you want to learn more about who I am, what I do, my fursuit, the background behind my character, anything like that, I do have a homepage that you can check out. And if you enjoyed the panel I put on today and would like to show your appreciation, I have a Ko-fi page set up at ko-fi.com/Shetani for donations, and you can spot me a cup of tea or two. As mentioned, I plan to have a recording of this panel available. Weekend Furry Retreat was super cool and enabled me to do this broadcast on my own YouTube channel, so you don't even have to wait. It might be a couple minutes just to get the file uploaded, but it should go up on my channel almost instantly after I'm done broadcasting. So you can rewatch at your leisure and share with friends who may not have been able to catch the live broadcast here at the convention. While you are enjoying your time at Weekend Furry Retreat, do not forget to check out the Craft Lodge, which is their online dealer's den. Lots of talented folks in the community have wares for you to peruse. You can treat yourself to some trinkets or even an art commission to celebrate and commemorate all the fun time that you're having here at Weekend Furry Retreat. I do have a listing in the Craft Lodge, and if you see something that you like, you can use code WFR10 at checkout to get 10% off your order for this weekend only. And if you are feeling generous, please do not forget to donate to the convention charity, which is Tapestry. They do some really great work, some really great charity work, so please go ahead and check that out. Thank you again all so much for watching. Remember to have fun, stay safe, and keep on suiting. See you later.